The policy direction has not been too favorable for SMEs. Of course, there has been some positives and there have been some downsides. In the area of positives, there have been some efforts in the area of funding for SMEs, some initiatives. We had, for instance, a lot of initiatives with regard to the 220 billion naira SME fund. We have had some initiatives to support the microfinance banks, to support the cooperatives, and so on and so forth. So in the area of funding, there have been some initiatives. But in terms of matching the funding needs with the supply side of the funding, there's still a big gap in terms of funding. And with regard to that, there are issues on both sides. There are issues on the supply side, there are issues on the demand side. On the supply side, of course, the general banking system, the financial institutions are generally not well disposed, not favorably disposed to lending to SMEs because they perceive the SMEs are too risky. They also worry about the administrative costs of managing SME credits. So in terms of the profitability of lending to SMEs and the risk of lending to SMEs, the banks are not so favorably disposed to lending to them. On the demand side, the SMEs themselves are not able to position themselves properly as good candidates for credit. Many of them don't keep books, they don't have audited accounts, they don't keep record of their transactions. So that, and many of them also don't have collateral. So that also is a very big issue for the SME in the area of funding. But the bigger issue for all of them has to do with the quality of the investment environment, the quality of the business environment, the high cost of doing business. These are, of course, the bigger issues for them. They worry about power, they spend a lot of money on power. Many of them have been sent out of business. The mortality rate is very high because of the power issue across all sectors, whether industry, services, and so on. Many of them have serious issues with power. They have serious issues with logistics, cost of transportation. They have issues with the regulatory agencies. They have serious issues with the ports. They have issues with even the traffic people. So all this contributes to the challenge of high cost of doing business, which has also affected their productivity, it has affected their sustainability. So these are the issues that the businesses, the SMEs face, at least in the last 4 or 5 years. Well, the SMEs all along historically have been very critical to development because when you talk about job creation, income redistribution, promoting linkages, promoting inclusiveness of the economy, you can only achieve that through support for SMEs. So in terms of the developmental significance of SMEs, no one is disputing that. And what the new administration needs to do is to look again into how to unlock credit access for SMEs. Possibly get the banks to be more tolerant, to be more accommodating, to increase their risk threshold in order to accommodate the SMEs, to look at how they can fast track the issue of easing the collateral requirements, allowing mobile assets as collateral, which also increase attention to the credit bureau that is being talked about in order to improve access to credit. But more importantly, the macro issues impinging or impacting on productivity needs to be addressed. We are talking of power, we are talking of the roads, we are talking of the rail system, we are talking of the challenges with the ports, we are talking of challenges with the regulatory agencies. All these things, there has to be proper engagement of the SMEs to know how these things are impacting on them. And of course, the government needs to look at industry-specific issues because SMEs cut across all sectors. So we need to engage those in ICT, those in manufacturing, those in agriculture, those in the educational sector, those in health sector, in order to be able to address industry-specific issues. I think that is the way to go. Well, data is very important for planning because if you plan without facts, you are not planning. You need facts to plan. And the quality of data that you have will determine the quality of your planning, the quality of your policy, and the totality of the quality of economic governance. So data is very critical, and in that context, there is need to support and improve the capacity of the National Bureau of Statistics. Because right now, they have serious capacity issues. That is why some of their data sometimes have integrity problems. I've listened to some of the data. Recently, they were talking about unemployment, talking about 6.4% and all of it. All these things create credibility problems for the data that is being generated. So we need to support the National Bureau of Statistics through resource provision, through generally improving their capacity. Well, clearly they have capacity constraints. Because if you look at the number of samples through which they generate some of this data, we begin to question the quality of the data that they are generating. Well, the key sectors, of course, agric is number one. And you can't develop agric in isolation. You have to develop agric in conjunction with industry in order to generate the linkages between industry and agric. You can also not develop agric if you don't develop transportation in order to create access to markets. So we need to put these things in context. So agric is very critical. ICT is also very critical. And even services, generally. Because SMEs thrive more in the services sector. And if you look at the trend, even globally, the services sector generates more employment than many other sectors. So I think these are the areas to look at.